Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jamie here. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video. I'm going to go through the belief system that you've built up around money and how to dissolve some of the limiting beliefs that you've inherently built up over the years around the term money. Now, if you find that you're capping out at a certain income per month, or you tend to repel your own financial results, or you tend to struggle to pay the bills, then this video was created for you. This is, I guess, my own experience. I've gone through all sorts of financial hardships in my life, went through a bankruptcy. I've lived on credit for many, many years historically prior to that. And even in recent years with my business going through various fluctuations, I've had all sorts of inner demons come out about my financial thermostat. And obviously, and going through this process, it's not entirely comfortable all the time, but it is something that I do recommend everyone sort of addresses at least once anyway, just so you can kind of get an idea as to what your real belief system is around the term money. Now, before I get into the video today, I'd like to say a very warm welcome to you. My name's Jamie. If you're interested in affiliate marketing, how to get started online, and the conversion of high-ticket affiliate marketing products, I'd invite you to hit that subscribe button. Feel free to smash that bell icon to stay up to date with everything I'm putting out. All right, let's jump straight into it. So money, money, money. Look at that. 3 different ways of writing the same word, and only one of them is correct. Now, the sole purpose of this very title was quite literally just to change your perspective, give you a different outlook on things. That's all right. Anyway, moving right along here. Now, before I get into it, if you're interested in learning how I was able to go from 0 to 10K per month using nothing more than my social media profile and a product that I really believe in, I've put together a little case study. You guys can check that out below, or alternatively, just go to jgcall.com. Furthermore, if you're interested in booking a time to speak with myself, I'd love to have a chat, see if I can help you out with your affiliate business. Please be prepared to put in some work. This isn't for tire kickers, and if you are the type that's just after free stuff, it's probably not for you. However, I am happy to discuss anything with anyone if you're willing to take this business seriously. Anyway, right, moving on. So in this presentation, what I'm going to do is go through this process and a couple of different I guess, tools that I've used in my past in order to start dissolving some of the limiting beliefs I have around money. First and foremost, I'm going to take you guys through a little exercise. Now, by all means, feel free to pause the video at this stage, but the very first thing I'd ask you to do is quite simply spend around 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be 5, can be 3, whatever it is, and just start writing down any beliefs, any words that spring to mind about the term money. Okay. Now, it's super, super, super important that you don't place any judgment on yourself. It's not what I think. It's not what you outwardly think. It's not what you think society thinks you should think, anything like that. It's just really what is in your head, what you feel. And as you go through this process, you're going to start running out of words. And eventually, the truth of it, the true belief system that you've got in place is going to start springing to the top. And that's what we're aiming at delving into as part of this exercise. So go ahead and pause the video here and jump back to it once you've written down a few words. All right, so I'm assuming you went and paused that at that stage, and if not, that's completely fine as well. So what I'd like you to do now is quite simply draw a line down the middle of your page. And essentially what you want to do is every belief that you have has a positive and has a negative attached to it, right? So think of things like beliefs like money is the root of all evil, money doesn't grow on trees, things like that. These are beliefs that have a negative charge to them. Okay, and so what we're going to do through this exercise is we're going to find their counterpart, because reality is that it's just a belief, and if it's a belief, then there's probably evidence out there that there's an opposing belief to that, right? So that's what we're going to go through in this particular exercise. So on the other side, I'd like you to write the inverse of that belief. And I'm going to show you a little table in a moment, so you kind of get a bit of a reference point for that. And take any note of anything that pops up for you. Okay, so if it's something like money is the root of all evil, well, what is on the other side of that? Okay, so the other side of that quite literally could be, well, money is a tool, it's a mechanism. It helps you buy experiences, it helps you buy healthcare, it helps you buy better food, it helps you serve the community because you can spend more, you can give more, you can invest more, which helps the overall economy, right? Like so that's not an evil thing, by the way. So if that's the polar of that belief, then put that down. But like I say, bear in mind, take note of what you're feeling as you're going through this process, especially if it's some sort of internal resistance, because this is the core of what we're aiming at getting here. So there you got on one side, you got your current belief and your new belief, okay? And so you want to balance those out. Now, assuming you've got the kind of negative connotations regarding money on one side, start looking for evidence on the other side. Like I say, the opposite of money is the root of all evil. What would that be? Like I said, it would be that before. Money doesn't grow on trees. Well, no, it doesn't, but it is absolutely everywhere. And if you don't believe me, you are watching this on a device of some kind that costs money. Someone somewhere has created it. You've purchased it somehow, or someone's given it to you, but they had to purchase it. Or maybe you're a thief, in which case somehow someone else elsewhere has basically purchased it, and then now you've got it, right? But the point being is that even the creation of that thing involves a ton of money. The clothes you're wearing, money. The food that you're eating today, money, right? So all these things, it's absolutely everywhere. So it's not necessarily that it isn't abundant. It's just that you aren't in tune with it enough to collect it, basically. And I know it sounds a little bit harsh, but I'm going to go through and kind of explain a little bit further on that path as well. Right, so go through this and start adding those. Feel free to take as much time as you like, and you're going to bring up a few sort of internal resistances as you go through this pathway. Right, so you really want to find evidence. This is what we're aiming at, finding evidence for the opposing side of that belief, okay? And so, again, money is the root of all evil. Oh, the money brings positivity to people's lives and, through comfort, jobs, health, creative freedom, all that sort of stuff, right? So keep going through that thing and then try and insert a new belief in there. And another one might be money is hard to get. Well, like I say, money is literally everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Shoes, clothes, your home, food, trillions of dollars that get exchanged every day, which is absolutely true. I used to work in the financial markets, as some of you guys may know, and I was privy to a large bulk of sums getting exchanged hands on a very regular basis, and into the billions too, by the way. So it is everywhere. It's pretty incredible. Right. What else? So if you can't find evidence within yourself, look for evidence externally. Look for evidence within your family. So maybe there's someone in your family that is well-to-do. What evidence that can you find within them to support these new beliefs? And if it's not there, like, have a look at society. Look at the wealthy people that you know of. And if you don't know of any, then maybe you've heard of wealthy people, in which case look at what they're doing. Look at how they are impacting the world with their money, right? And look at the success stories that have come out of that, all that sort of stuff, right? And also take note of the setbacks that a lot of those people have been through, because a lot of them are in similar situations to perhaps myself and people watching this particular video, where you're at one level and you want to get to another, but of course you've got to change something in here first, right? So that's how it all starts, right? It's going to feel a little bit rough at first, because especially if you've got a huge negative charge towards some component of money, and I'm not going to say money in its entirety, but there might be some element of it there. And if that is the case, then it's going to feel a bit awkward at first. And so it's a matter of like having the discipline to kind of push through this, because you probably think this is just a load of crap when you're first going through it. Jamie's just talking crap here, but I encourage you just to ignore that feeling and push through. And basically, if you keep finding evidence to support the opposing side of your negatively charged belief, you're going to see both sides. And so therefore, all of a sudden, you've actually removed the power of that belief. Okay, so instead of it going, oh, well, God, there's not much around, how am I going to pay these bills? Oh, crikey. You're going to see on the other side of that, which might be, well, it is actually all around me. I do have a roof over my head still. I'm still eating, hopefully you're eating still. I've got clothing. Well, that's a good thing. I'm watching this very video on some sort of device, and somehow there's money that's gone into this whole thing. So maybe there is actually money around. Maybe there's something I can do to change my situation in a very, very rapid space of time. And maybe that's part of your new belief. So instead of you not necessarily fully believing that side, at least you can see that there is another side there. And this is how we're very slowly going to just change our beliefs, right? Right. Some important things to note about your belief systems. So you may be restricting the flow of money by condemning it. And the analogy that I like to use, it's like a popular meme that's popped up in recent times. And basically what it is, it's a cat, and it's like an old Chinese proverb or something like that. And it says, money is like a cat. If you sit there quietly, the cat will come to you, or do the things that attract the cat will come to you and sit on your lap. If you chase the cat's just going to come and scratch your face off, because that's what they like, bloody cats. Anyway, point being is that you don't want to deal with a scratchy cat. The scratchy cat is painful to your face and painful to your pride, all right? So don't chase the money away. And so how do you do that? The thing is, you need to have what Tony Robbins and I think Eli Wild, one of his sales guys, refers to as HILA, which is high intention, low attachment. So you have to have intention about getting it. You have to have low attachment to having it, which is, I know it's like an absolute mind fuck, right? Like, how do I do that, Jamie? Thanks, dickhead. I don't know what that means, but I want it. I mean, I'm tending to want it. How do I detach? That's the hard part, right? But hopefully going through these types of exercises, you're going to start seeing that, holy crap, there is so much abundance out there. It's ridiculous. And there's tons of opportunity out there. And I'm not going to annoy the angry cat, basically. So the other thing is, you can't fall in love with it, right? So you can love the efficiency of it, because it's the most efficient tool that there absolutely is, like in terms of the idea of exchange. And to give you a bit of an example there, let's say that you were selling phones, and you had phones, and I guess as a byproduct of that, you were bartering. So a bartering system can be cool as well, by the way. But bartering would be someone has to come up with something of a perceived value to give you in exchange for the phone. So if you needed food, maybe they could sell you some grain. But there's so many inefficiencies in that, because then you might have a bad harvest one year, and then all of a sudden, like, how do you then justify, well, I need the phone, and you've only got phones, but no one's wanting to give you food, and it means that there's a very efficient way to exchange things there, and that's why money is awesome. But you can't fall in love with it, like it says there. Because if you do, you'll risk being an absolute tightwad when it comes to money, and you've got to kind of let the flow of it go through your life. And I don't mean like, let it slip through your fingers, so to speak. But there is a flow with it. It's an energetic flow. And I'm not going to get too esoteric now, because I can't speak to that. I'm not overly proficient in that side of things just yet, to be honest. But, it's that whole thing. You don't want to be the richest person in the graveyard. So what's the point, right? Okay. If you want more of it, you have to become a more valuable person to the market and serve more people. So either there's a bit of a double-edged sword with that one. You either serve less people, but you charge more because you have a very, very specific skill. I have a very specific set of skills. I will find you, and I will. No, that's from Taken. I like the Kermit the Frog. Seth, what's his name? Not Seth Rogen. What's that guy's name? Family Guy. Anyway, he does this parody of that. I will find you. Kermit the Frog. Anyway, that's a bit random, isn't it? Anyway, so you have to be more valuable to marketplace, right? That's where I'm going with that. And so that's about you increasing your skills. It's about learning a high income skill and selling that to your audience. And notice the word I used there, which was sell. Everyone needs to sell stuff. Basically, if you don't have anything to sell, you need to find something to sell. Basically, if it's a product or a service or whatever, that's how you do it. And if the other alternative is, the serve more people part, that you can have lower prices but you serve more people. Whatever one you want to go with. My personal opinion, it's easier to serve less with a higher valued and higher perceived value service or item, as opposed to serving more with a less valued one. Hopefully that makes sense. Right, what else we got? I'm going to give you guys I'm going to get a little bit vulnerable here. Personal story about how I actually stopped myself from being broke. And so the very first part of it was, and very interestingly, it's about a year or so since that I saw that video, and I just happened to pop up on my newsfeed again. So I was taken back by the actual story, because it was so powerful when I first saw it. But anyway, Tony's sitting on a plane or wherever. I think he tells the story quite often from what I understand. But essentially, the very short version of it is that he had a very finite amount of money left in the world. And he'd been chasing this guy about some money that the dude owed him for ages. The guy hadn't paid him, and he was like getting stressed out. And he didn't know how he was going to survive. He didn't know how he was going to eat. And he was living in this place. He didn't know how he was going to pay rent. Okay. And so he was in a very stressful place. And Tony's a relatively larger gentleman, as I understand. I think he's well over 6 foot, 6'6" or 7 or 8 or something ridiculous like that. So he's a giant. He's a big, friendly giant, right? And so you imagine a giant probably takes quite a few calories to keep him running on a daily basis. Okay. So anyway, he goes to the local salad place, and he had, let's say, $23 in his pocket, or whatever it was. And he goes in there, and when he was eating, it paid for his thing, and he had like $17 back left after eating. Or you can eat salad for like $6 or whatever it was. And then walks this young man, this small child, actually, I think it was about 8 or 9 or something like that. And he opens the door for this lady, and the lady was his mother. And he pulls the seat out and sits her down and stuff, and wanted to take her out for lunch. It was a very sweet story. And so then Tony was so kind of taken back by the kind of charisma of this young man, this young child. And so he went up to him and said, "Oh, you notice you're taking it late out for lunch. You're an absolute gentleman." And so without even thinking, he just kind of reached into his pocket, and because of the child's response was basically, I want to take her out for lunch, but I can't afford to. I'm a kid. I don't have a job. So Tony just basically took all the money that he had in the world, just $17, and gave the child that money. He didn't have anything, but he basically, it was so fulfilling for him because he was able to give something to someone on a complete, wholehearted basis, not because he felt a moral or societal obligation to give or anything of that nature. It was because he wanted to do something really nice, and he did. And it meant a lot, obviously, because he didn't have any cash left. Anyway, he said he was flying home, and he meant that in the sense that he was so high from this experience of being able to give to humanity in this very, very tiny yet profound way. And when he got home, I think the reality set in. And he thought, shit, okay, how am I going to pay rent? How am I going to pay my utilities? This is ridiculous. What was I thinking? So anyway, on that note, the next morning, a check arrived for over $1,200, the money that this guy owed him, and there was a personal letter in there. He said, "Look, there's $100 in there, additional above what I owe you. Just I know I've been a bit absent. I feel really bad about it, but I know I've been giving you the runaround. Here's some interest on top of the money that I owe you." And so from that moment, he never, ever, ever, ever went hungry for money ever again. He never needed money again because he knew that it was just everywhere. Knew that it was just all around us, and all you need to do is tap into that way of thinking. Now, relating it back to my own personal story, I was in a situation where, if some of you guys might have heard, I went bankrupt 2015, and finances were always tight. Like I had a big chunk of credit card debt leading up to that point, and personal loans and various other things. A whole bunch of my investments just decided to go pretty bad, shall we say, is probably the most diplomatic way of putting it. And so on that basis, I decided to replicate something similar. And I'm not sure if I put this here. Anyway, so I'll get into this next part in a moment. So anyway, for me, that was one part. And I can't remember if I've put this on the next slide, but essentially, I tried to replicate this very thing that Tony did. I had about $84 in my account. I took my wife out for lunch on a Sunday. We went to the very romantic Kentucky Fried Chicken. What a player! What a smooth player I am, right? Anyway, it was more about the idea of doing it rather than the place that we went. And then we went out for a movie and stuff later on. It was really nice. Had a fun day. But what happened, it was and this is the key element of this here, there was a different psychology behind it. It wasn't me going, I'm going to take her out for lunch and hopefully I get money. It was because for once I wasn't sitting glued to my phone, like checking my bank going, oh, okay, hang on. I think I've got like another $9 coming in an affiliate commission tomorrow. And I don't know where my next invoice is coming from. I just did it just for the fun of doing it. I knew what my figures were, and I knew we couldn't spend over that. But I also knew that I was just wanting to ignore the fact that I had financial issues at that time and just take her out. And so I did, and we had a beautiful time. Anyway, the other thing that I tried, I'm going to loop this back in a moment. So the other thing I did is neuro-linguistic programming, and for those of you interested, I highly recommend you get into this. It's absolutely incredible, and tying everything we've gone through today in this with NLP is a very, very powerful way to change your beliefs in a very rapid succession. So neuro-linguistic programming, it was I can't think of the names, Brander and Grinder or something like that. Blander and Grinder, John Grinder, whatever. Look it up. Told you I'm an expert. Anyway, but I do know how to do it. So anyway, you essentially what you're aiming to do is redefine how your belief systems work by doing something incredibly simple. So for me, all it was is that I took some deep breaths. So I got myself into like a relaxed state. And then essentially I recalled the times in my life when I felt very, very abundant. And there were many. I have done ridiculous things, like when I was trading on a very regular basis. I would do things like dump 120 bucks in my account and turn that into 14 grand overnight, things like that. Like I had all these experiences where I just rapidly gained all this financial resources. So I had that idea of abundance. And for you, it can be anything. It can be you were given an extra bonus at Christmas time. It could be anything that has triggered that feeling of I'm abundant. And it will be. We have all had situations like that. It could be anything. You've received a gift. You received unexpected mail that happened to be a check or a tax return, like anything at all, right? So for me, I was able to anchor those points in. So you basically bring them up. And I recall times when money was just no issue. It was just like flowing into my life and everything's amazing and, good times, right? And instead of just thinking of that, you've got to really like push the emotions up so that they're really very real. They're sitting right in your head and everywhere, and you can feel it, and you can smell the same sensations, and you feel the feeling, and you're visualizing. It's amazing. And then all you do is just you have a unique physical expression. And so it could be you grab your ear, it could be you grab your finger in a certain way, whatever it is for you, that's up to you to decide. And doing that process, what effectively happens is every time you, if you do it a couple of times at least anyway, every time you do that unique expression, that unique grab of your finger or your ear, whatever it is, it triggers your brain, because you've now anchored those nerve endings into that thing and that feeling and whatnot, that sensation, into that unique touch or expression. And that brings up those emotions over and over again, and it kind of feels cool. So if you're radiating that abundant feeling, then it's almost like a byproduct that, of course, the abundance is going to flow, right? So hopefully that helps. I do encourage you to do your own homework. Clearly, I'm not a practitioner of NLP. In fact, I can barely even explain. I just know that it works for me, right? So from there, just real quickly, doing those two things in unison, it led to the very next day after I had the date with my wife. The very next day, I had my very first $1,000 day online. In fact, it was about $1,300, which is a lot of money for me back then when I had nothing. So it worked. And then I was so impressed that I did it again. The next day, I had another $1,000 day, another $1,300 day. So $2,600 in less than 48 hours, basically. And that was sometimes more than I would be making in a month at that time. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. So I then went on to have my first $10,000 month, and it's kind of blown up since then. But point being is that don't underestimate the power of this, because once you really, really understand that abundance and money and all that stuff and opportunity and stuff like that is absolutely freaking everywhere, it's an incredible feeling. And you're gonna have to keep coming back to this as well. I still have a few limitations that I'm working through, and some months are better than others, all that sort of stuff. We're human, right? So point being is that once you go through this and you understand the power of that, it's incredibly powerful for your future. Okay, so here's what I do. I still meditate daily. Okay, I've got an abundance meditation I take myself through, and it's beautiful, and I love it. I do that every single day. I do affirmations from time to time, not every day, I must admit, not now anyway. But you want to say things that are in the positive tense. So every day, in every way, I grow richer and richer, or wealthier and wealthier, whatever the word is for you. Things like that. And you got to make it sure it's in the positive tense. So don't say things like, money doesn't suck. Money is not crap. I don't hate money because your subconscious brain doesn't hear the actual fact that you're trying to be positive. All it hears is money suck. Money sucks. Okay, fine, whatever. I guess you don't want any then. That's all it hears, and so that's what it will manifest. And even though you're consciously going, why the bloody hell can't I bloody manifest this bloody money stuff? Your subconscious is like, well, I'm doing everything you told me, dickhead. Like, what else do you want? Like, you've just told me money doesn't suck, but it doesn't hear that doesn't, because it's not very evolved. That part of our brain doesn't know. It doesn't know. It doesn't have very good diction, shall we say? Anyway, being conscious of my own beliefs. Now, this is something that is not always easy, I must admit, but think about all the language patterns that you use, all the things you say to yourself. And we have thousands and thousands and thousands of thoughts on a daily basis. Most of them we're not even conscious of. I've had so many just through this whole process of recording this, and I mean, like, that's me thinking, right? I'm waving my hands, but think about all the neurons that are firing and doing, I think that's the right word, that are going through my brain and my body to activate my hands to do that, and my voice and stuff, right? So a whole bunch of stuff is happening. These are all subconscious thoughts, not even aware of them. Like, if you thought about the thing that happens that gets your arm to move up, like, man, that's a lot of stuff happening right there, and a lot of it controlled from this. So, but being conscious of that, it's more about the things about your language patterns and the internal, like, dialogue that you have with yourself. Do you see someone else that's achieving anything, and do you have some sort of I guess bias towards them? So overtly you're very happy for them, but maybe there's something happening in the background. Maybe some like, oh, we must have bloody scammed them, that's why how they making all that bloody money or whatever. So if you have that as a consciousness, and you kind of pause yourself and go, hang on, whoa, hang on a minute there, what's going on? Why am I having these beliefs? If you have that, it allows you to be conscious of it. If you can be conscious of it, guess what? You can adjust the way that process goes. The more conscious you are of your beliefs, the more you can change that. So think of your brain as like, it's a big computer. It's a big dumb computer in a lot of ways. So you can quote me on that. So your big dumb computer brain, it can be reprogrammed, but it doesn't understand things very easily. So you have to kind of reprogram them. You have to be conscious of these little nuances and little things that you're doing and how people are treating you and all that sort of stuff, right? So you have to be conscious of it, and you can reprogram it. And going through these exercises is going to massively help that. You got to let go of resistance. It comes back to that thing I mentioned before, high intention, low attachment. Okay, absolutely paramount to this whole thing working. You need to be detached from the outcome, and so as part of that, you need to let go of it. And so, and it's such a hard thing, because you're like, yeah, but Jamie, I need to pay the bills, man. Yeah, I get it. I completely get it. So you also need to understand that there's this beautiful thing that happens when you are able to pay your bills. You can afford to pay your bills, even if it's a struggle. It feels like a struggle. You can still afford to. And guess what? Those bills give you electricity. They give you a roof over your head. They give you your lights on. You being able to cook. The food, the phone that you spend probably 9 hours a day on rather than building your business, like all that stuff. Like, this is incredible. So then instead, see what I've just done then. I've just now taken something which is a perceived negative of paying your bills, and I've flipped that on its head. Now it's a bloody positive. I love paying my bills. Of course, I spent hours on this bloody thing. This creates a 6-figure business for me. This little device here, I freaking love paying that bill. Freaking love it. How many people do I get to talk to every day thanks to this little thing here? So I fucking love that bill. I love it. I love getting the bill for that, because it reminds me that I've got that there. And now, just from that, I've just changed the perspective massively. So now I'm like, cool, well, okay, that's cool. It helps me now. I don't think of that as like, oh god, fucking bill. I look at it as, cool, I can do something with that. This is going to help me in my business, right? So what else? Being grateful. Yeah. Okay. So these are kind of two in the same, really. But yeah, I'm truly grateful for my bills. I don't want more of them, but I'm grateful for the ability for me to be able to pay them, because I always have enough to pay. That's the thing. There's always enough to go around. I've never gone, like super homeless or like hungry. So there's always enough, right? Um, and going back to what's in your subconscious beliefs is change what you choose to hear. So if you think about the way people word things, and friends and family are a really big one, they mean the absolute best for us, but they can be a pack of dicks at the same time. And so they don't mean to be. It's not that they're going, haha, I'm going to fuck this dude's day up by saying this, stuff up here. It's nothing to do with that. It's more, it's the thing is that they are projecting love. They're projecting their own set of beliefs through their own course of their life. And so what usually manifests is the concern, like, oh gosh, I just don't want, like, I don't want to have the heartbreak, deal with the heartbreak of them having a setback or a failure. And so that's how I'm going to project it. And when they project it, it comes out like, sure, that's the right pathway for you. And so all of a sudden a seed of doubt has now gone into your head. And then you're like, well, I'm fucked now. I guess I don't. Oh, okay, well, fine. I won't bother trying then, because if my family doesn't think it's a good idea, then it's probably not a good idea because I trust their opinion, even though it's got no basis of logic at all. And so, I'm not saying don't dismiss what your family has to say, or your friends and family and whatnot. I'm not criticizing those people either. What I am saying though is that you can make a choice. Like, if you feel something, if someone says something to you about a project that you're doing and you have a feeling about it, take note of that feeling. What does it feel like? What does it have? Whoa, I'm feeling something here. And even if you can't acknowledge it at the time, even if you can't investigate it because of social situations, dynamics, and things like that, just take note of it. Okay, I'm going to have a think about this later, because then you can make the choice. Well, actually, I don't believe that. I'm going to make the conscious choice not to buy into that. They've told me that this project is not going to work because they had a bad experience with some other thing that's completely unrelated. That's not my reality. I'm going to program my computer a different way, and that's what you want to aim at, right? So, some notes. You got to basically bear in mind, you got to kind of work out why it is you want to, right? And so this comes back to changing the entire dynamic of how we're framing things in our mind. So what I mean by this is, why do you want to be rich? Like, there's an underlying reason for you. Why do you want the money? Why do you want the 5-10K per month? What's there for you? Because and the reason why I suggest this is, if you can change that from I just need money there into the core belief behind why you want it, it changes that massively. Because then you're like, okay, well, how can I'm trying to spend more time with my family. I'm trying to give them a better lifestyle. I'm trying to break free from the boss that that no longer serves me in this job. All these things, right? And once you've got those there are actually things that you can do without the need for money. And so therefore you can actually start aiming towards those things without needing the money first. And so a lot of people think, well, if I get the money, then I'll do the thing. If I get the money, I'm going to have more free time. If I get the money, and it's kind of like it's a skewed way of looking at it. So if you can start to add these things into your life now, imagine how much better it's going to be, and how much more open you're going to be, how much more freedom you're going to have in order to start bringing those things in anyway, more organically, right? So keep that in mind. True abundance is literally everywhere. Like I say, it's in your phone. That's like a wealth. No joke. It's a wealth of knowledge right there. But it's a wealth. Like, it is absolutely everywhere. If I look on my desk, I've got all these things. I've got everything from a cup of tea, and then I've got like this beautifully, what do you call it? I was going to say marinated, but marinade is not the right word. What do you call it when you're glazed? You do the glazing of a pottery glazing. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, marinade. Yeah, that's an interesting. Wonder where that came from. And so that's the thing, right? Like, I'm looking around my desk. I've got water. I've got a microphone. I've got all this stuff here. I've got a few post-it notes, things like that. But all that stuff, it's everywhere. My clothes, abundance. The fact that I'm on a desk, the electricity that's driving this, the Wi-Fi that is now sending this out there, the recording software that is recording my voice and my screen and my wavy hands on the corner there. Unbelievable. And if you want some examples in nature, look at trees, man. Trees are a beautiful thing. Look at acorns. Look at fruit trees. Like, like fruit is amazing. If you look at a fruit tree like apricots or cherries or plums or grapes or anything like that, most of them are so overflowing with fruit that they're dropping off the tree. Like there's so much of it. Imagine if humans did that. If humans were in charge of developing fruit trees, there'd be one tiny little pithy little thing right at the top of the tree that you had to give, you know, most of it to the government anyway. So look at nature; it's incredibly abundant. Be grateful, and I don't just mean like in the sort of very esoteric sense that it gets thrown around like just gotta be grateful, man. But I mean, if you can really feel it, sometimes that's not easy either, I must admit. But when you are in a state of true gratitude, and you can literally, you walk down the street, you can appreciate the fact, holy crap, this is amazing. Like I'm, you know, like imagine that you'd never seen outside before. You step outside your house now and you look around, or even in your house, you look around and just, my God, the colors are amazing. Like, this is incredible. The fact that you can read, the fact that you can see this, you can hear this, all that stuff. Like, imagine how unbelievable that whole thing is. And so, the more that you can feel that sense of gratitude, the more good stuff you attract. It's like a law or some shit. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not very articulate when it comes to that, but you get the point, right? But it's the feeling of it that's the important part. Take responsibility for yourself. This is a massive one, and you know, for those of you that are part of SAA and SAI, which you're welcome to check out the link below for more info on that. We've got nearly 500 students now. So the thing with that is one of the three core things that we talk about from a mindset perspective are your whys. Why are you doing this? Why is it important for you to hit your goals? Because if you don't have a powerful why, then the life will beat you down. The next one is abundance, and obviously there's been hints of what I've been talking about here in this presentation as well. But abundance is such a huge topic, and it means so much, and it is absolutely everywhere. And then the last one is self-analysis and self-responsibility. So looking at our most successful students, the ones that are going on to hit 20K per month, 40K per month, whatever, and even the 5K, 10K, you know, everyone's in a different stage of life, and so even making an additional $1,000 per month for some people is just a life changer. You know, and these are from all walks of life, all demographics, all age groups, absolutely everything. And so the people that are doing well and that are doing those, it's not because they are more talented, they're more technologically savvy, than not more, you know, necessarily. Some of them work harder, but you know, it's not necessarily that they even work harder. It's that they are taking ridiculous amounts of self-responsibility as they go along. So if something's not working, is that, whose fault's that? Is that me as the and you know, Jacob and Chris as the product vendors? Is it someone else? Is it the fact that, you know, the system is burnt out and it's too competitive, or is that because you're not adjusting your course, you're not finding the right people, you're not moving to a different area to go and find other people? And that's the thing I think people get stuck with, right? And so that comes back to taking almost like obscene amounts of self-responsibility, which is not easy. I completely understand that. But when you do, there's an incredible power that comes off the back of that. And that power is that if you have got yourself to this point here where you are now, this me pointing at you right now, if you've got yourself to here in this part of your life, and you take full responsibility for that, how fucking powerful is that? You can now take responsibility for the next part and achieving the goals and getting out of that and going to the next part that's better than where you are now. Responsibility. And again, just circling back to one of the things I said earlier, is that you kind of need to let go. High last thing, right? You need to have intention behind why you're doing it, but you need to have low attachment to the outcome. And the more you can marry these two together, the better you'll be. And it comes back to that thing of, if you really need it, you're going to repel it. It's like push it away, right? You also want to delve into your feelings of self-worth, because it will, like as I very eloquently typed out, that shit will mess you up if unchecked. And it's so true. Like the times that I've been really broke, a lot of the time it's because I had very low belief systems. I was not radiating positive energy. I wasn't radiating compelling arguments about why people could do or should do business with me. Instead, I was just like, oh, yeah, if you guys want to buy the thing, that would be really nice. And I came across as desperate. So I've had to readdress that. I've had to go back and look at my notes and just be raw with myself and go, all right, You know, what, like, do I even feel like I deserve this? Massive chunks of me still say no. Like, well, you're a complete fuck up. You're, you know, you're drink too much, and you swear too much on your lives, and swear too much on your bloody videos, and you're not a good person. You don't deserve wealth, and you should have died when you were younger, all that sort of stuff. And sometimes these voices, they sit there, and then they overtake. And so, of course, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If I start thinking these things, what does that do to my self-esteem? It knocks me down. I feel like a piece of shit. And then, of course, if you don't have a good self-worth, why would anyone want to work with you, right? And so that part's not always easy. Then it comes back to the self-responsibility part. You got to take that responsibility and go, yep, I'm in the place that I'm at because of me. It's no one else's fault. I've got all the skills, I've got all the tools, I've got all the opportunities everyone else does. It's all just me, right? So yeah, do delve into that though, because it's super important, right? And think about how you can serve others. And this is one of the things that pops up for a lot of high-ticket affiliate marketers, is that limiting belief of, yeah, but I've never sold high ticket before. Why would anyone buy from me? I mean, I'm just starting, like, and it's such a wank, because, like, the thing is that two things come into play. And unless if you're a coach, then of course you do have to sell yourself, and you have to be fucking confident that you can solve that person's problem and that you can actually help them out with stuff. But if you're selling a high ticket affiliate product, guess what? It's not about you. It's not about you at all. Don't be selfish. Take yourself out of that equation. It's about the product and how it serves the person. And of course, it's about whether that product is going to be the right fit for the person. And so when you remove yourself from that equation and you're like stepping back going, okay, I've got this thing. It's pretty cool. It's helped over 500 students. It's amazing, but might not be for you. And you're removing yourself from that whole thing. That's pretty cool. Then you are truly serving someone else then, because then if they decide to jump in it, you're not trying to get them to jump into an opportunity because it's self-serves. It's not about you anymore. Even though of course, you want the commissions, and that's we all want the money and all that sort of stuff. But if it can help them out, and it gives them clarity, and it helps them succeed in their goals, helps them drive their business for the next decade or their lifetime or whatever. Hell's yeah, man, that's awesome, right? So that's all I've got time for. Right. So on that note, guys, I want to say an incredibly massive thanks for sticking with me to the end here. Hopefully you got some value out of this. If you'd like to drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. And of course, if you'd like to check out the free case study, like I say, go to jgcall.com. Otherwise, click that link below, and look forward to catching up with you guys soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.